Ina 101. Thanks so much for joining. By the way, man, oh man, it's Tuesday. It's really Monday, but it's Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday, but it's Monday. 101. Thanks so much for joining. By the way. All right, man, oh man. All right, my beautiful people, man, good morning to you. This is the Black Billionaires Club bringing to you the new Black Wall Street Book Club. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful day yesterday. Yesterday was Monday. It was the observance of Martin Luther King's birthday. And many of you guys had the day off. I didn't, because as an entrepreneur, I don't really have days off. Money is always flowing, but nonetheless, we reserved. We took a look and enjoyed our time, you know, honoring the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. But hopefully, you know, now it spurs us to come to do some of the things that Dr. Martin Luther King did and his dream, and we helping to make that dream come true. Hey, go ahead and hit that like button, that share button, let people know we're here. This is New Black Wall Street Book Club, Reading Rainbow 2.0 with a purpose, where we are actually continuing along in the book, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Mr. Dennis Kimbro with Napoleon Hill. We're going to get right into this thing this morning. It's time to get this show on the road. Hit that like button, that share button, let people know we're here. The New Black Wall Street Book Club. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
New Black Wall Street Book Club. Evan Jefferson, brother, much love. Educating, elevating, because in knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Did each other's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. We all just come together, there's no limit to us. Here comes your host, New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street Book Club.
All right, my beautiful people, man, thanks so much for joining us here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. You put in the book, we absolutely will find it. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprise, and also ERGJ Black Bazaar, international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. The Black Billionaires Club, the study of Black wealth. It's a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just truly believe that if you and I, if you and I want to be wealthy, we should study wealthy people. And if you just happen to be Black and you want to be wealthy, well, why not study wealthy Black people? Well, you can go to theblackbillionairesclub.com, theblackbillionairesclub.com, pick up the book today. But not only is it a book, guys, it is actually a club. And inside of that club, we have the book club, which we're doing here today for personal development. We also have a section or a segment for business development. We'll learn how to start your business, take your business, scale your business up, things like that. You want to be a part of that mastermind group. We have financial literacy to teach you about money and how to make more of it. And then we also have investment education to teach you how to take that money that you make and make it work for you. And once we put ourselves in a position where we have our money working harder for us than we are working for it. Today's episode is sponsored by ERGJ Black Bazaar, where we do have the Black History Activity books. Of course, we have just celebrated Dr. King. Well, this one here is the Uncle Malcolm. It's the Uncle Malcolm activity book. Does have places for your youth to color, to connect the dots, to draw, and then also biggest piece is to learn about the life of Malcolm X. We got more of these available as well. Just simply go to ergjblackbazaar.com, ergjblackbazaar.com. Pick you up a copy today. They're only $10. That's right. It's only $10 for you to pick you up a Black History Activity book today. We're moving into Black History Month. Good morning to you. Instagram Live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and then also our podcast, which is across all eight of the podcast forums. You can find us at NBWS Book Club. If you are an author, you've written a book and you think it'll be good here for this broadcast, well, we want to make sure that you inbox us and let us know about the book that you've written, and we will be happy to review it to see if it's something that works for what we do. And then last but not least, if you have a business that you provide a product or a service to our community and you like for us to promote for you and help you sell more of your stuff, well, again, you can inbox us as well and tell us about what it is that you do, and we'll see if it's a good fit, and we would love to promote for you. We love to help you sell more stuff. We need more sellers of our stuff in our community so we can keep that thing going on. Well, hey, guys, New Black Wall Street Book Club. We got two books. First is going to be our affirmation book. We pick this up every day, do an affirmation a day, our motivation for the day, and then Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, both by Dennis Kimbro, by the way. both by Dennis Kimbro. By the way, today is January 22nd. So our daily motivation for African-American success, our daily motivation for African-American success. Good morning to you, Miss Adia Vani Bazil. Thanks so much for joining. Hit that like button, that share button. Let people know we're here. Black folk getting together and having a positive party in the morning. That's what I'm talking about. What makes the great great? That's our title for today. What makes the great great? Great question to ask. What makes the great great? William H. Brown, an ex-slave and the first African-American novelist, his quote of the day says this: destiny lies not in the stars, but in our hearts. Destiny lies not in the stars, but in our hearts. And here's our passage for today, Daily Motivations for African-American Success. Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, President Emeritus of Morehouse College, explained that each of us can reach our level of true greatness if we know what greatness is. Dr. Mays said wealth, position, or power are no measure of greatness. Greatness is defined by what we have become and what we might have been. The people who close this gap we call great. Let me say that again. Wealth, position, and power are no measure of greatness. Greatness is defined by what we have become versus what we might have been. Who we are versus who we could be. Another way to say it. The people who close this gap, everybody put in the console, close the gap. The people who close this gap is who we call great, i.e. Dr. Martin Luther King, who he was versus who he could be. He closed that gap and we call him great. What makes the great great? Wasn't that Martin Luther King had the most money in the world, but he had a lot of influence. What makes the great great? Dr. Mays found the answer. Have you? What makes the great great? Asked Alice Walker. After graduating from high school as valedictorian, young Alice was so poor that her neighbors took a collection to purchase her $75 bus ticket to Atlanta's Spelman College. But poverty proved to be no match. Today, Alice Walker lives in a manner which few do because her books are read by millions. What makes the great great? I know the bitter taste of poverty, says Bessie Smith. I've gone to bed with a gnawing pain of hunger. Though barefoot and dirt poor, she single-handedly created a musical expression that became known as the blues. What makes the great great? Though criticized, ridiculed, and told that colored players would never be allowed to compete, Andrew Rube Foster stayed true to his aim. In 1921, Foster formed the Negro League, professional baseball's first all-black organization. What makes the great great? After attending college in New York, Edith Sampson returned to her tiny Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania home and saw her mother weeping. "Mother, why are you crying?" Edith asked. "We may not be able to keep you in school," her mother replied. "Don't worry." Uh-oh. Everybody put in the console, don't worry. Don't worry. Her daughter responded, "I'll find a way. I'll study at home at night, and every chance I get, Mother, you'll be proud, and I will finish." Edith Sampson consequently became the first Black female elected judge in the United States. What makes the great great? The answer lies within your heart. Begin now to close the gap and realize your destiny. Today's affirmation. The affirmation of today. Today, I will listen to the beatings of my heart. I will become what I am destined to become. I will become what I am destined to become. Again, the question we've got to ask today is, what makes the great great? That's your daily motivation for African American success this morning here on January 22nd, 2019. And we'll get right into our passage of the day, which is Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice by Mr. Napoleon Hill and Dennis Kimbro. This book here is a guide to Black American success. All right, his book was recommended by Black Enterprise. Says it's a book you should be required reading for all African Americans who truly committed to the pursuit of happiness and fulfillment. And they were talking about persistence. Everybody put in the console, persist. And there's a good quote that says simply this: I will persist until I succeed. I will persist until I succeed. We're going to be picking up today where we left off on yesterday's episode. Now, great, oh man, wonderful thing today, by the way. Today is our episode number 25, which means that we will now have 25 episodes on podcast. Oh my goodness. I'm excited about that. 25. I got to remember the day that I hit number 25. And we're going to keep going, keep doing this thing. Day number 25. Now, where was he at? Okay. So let's pick up where we left off. Yesterday, we're talking about chapter number 5, by all means persist. By all means persist. How this author discovered the power of persistence. A persistency of purpose is power. It creates confidence in others. Society believes in the determined person. Society believes in the determined person. When he undertakes anything, his battle is half over. Why? Because those who know him realize that he will not stop short of his objective. He will indeed accomplish all. Everybody put in the console, all. All. He will indeed accomplish all he sets out to do. His detractors have long since understood that it is useless to oppose a man who will use his stumbling blocks as stepping stones. He is not afraid of defeat, and who never, in spite of exclusion or criticism, shrinks from his task. The persistent man or woman never stops to consider the cost. Whatever his major purpose leads through mountains, over land, or across oceans, he or she must reach his or her goal. All other considerations are secondary to this dominant purpose. For it matters not how bright the student, how clever the innovator, or how lofty the ideal. No person of ambition will ever succeed if lacking this essential trait. Many men and women who might have made brilliant doctors or lawyers or teachers or well-paid executives have unfortunately fallen short of their goals simply because they failed to arouse new effort at each new obstacle. Napoleon Hill says of persistence, there may be no heroic connotation to the word persistence, but the quality is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. I personally went through an experience that not only confirms Hill's words, but provided me with an example which I can present to those who would convert their ability to persevere into a constructive interlude of great benefit to themselves. Let me share with you my story. When I had set about the task of writing a book on our forgotten heroes, those men and women who have built many of America's most successful Black businesses, I compiled a list of 35 Black entrepreneurs whom I would interview within a 12-month period in an attempt to uncover their secrets to success. Some were young, some were old, some were more well-known than others, but all were successful within their own line of business. During the months in which the material for the project was being gathered and prepared, the manuscript progressed as planned, except for one major hitch. I was unable to obtain a favorable commitment to interview Mr. Earl Graves, publisher and founder of Black Enterprise magazine. Just imagine a book covering on the successes and failures of Black men and women in American enterprise, not including Earl Graves. The entire project would have been completely remiss without the thoughts of this entrepreneurial giant. Graves is a role model in the classic American mode, a local boy who made good, the embodiment of the work ethic. As I contemplated his life, the impact of his personality and philosophy, I knew that I had to meet and interview him. How many of you guys got something in your psyche right now, something that you're saying you have got to do, something that you're saying you have got to have? See, he had to interview this brother. And I was talking to a sister last night. She was talking to me about some situation she's going through. And I simply told her, you don't want it bad enough. Not yet. You make all these excuses, all these things that you're talking about. But for my guesstimation, you simply don't want it bad enough. Because if you wanted it bad enough, it would show up in your activity. It would show up in your responses. You would be ready at all times. She simply, in my opinion, simply did not want it bad enough. What about you? Says old Pepsi commercial said, gotta have it. How many guys gotta have your dream? How many guys gotta have your goal? How many guys gotta have the things that you aspire to do? How many of you guys gotta have it? She didn't want it bad enough. You know, I can tell she didn't want it bad enough because she would continue to let opportunity after opportunity after opportunity pass her by. Opportunity come smack her in the face and she just let it pass her by. She didn't want it bad enough. And unfortunately, she ran into a brother who would tell her straight up, you just simply don't want it bad. You'll be honest with her. How many guys, everybody putting guys on honest. At some point in time in your life, you simply have to be honest with yourself. Not me. You got to be honest with yourself. An honest assessment of what you want in this life and how bad do you want it? What are you willing to go through? Are you willing to go over the mountain, under the sea, through the obstacle? How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to get out of debt? See, when I was in debt, I was knee-deep, broke, busted, and disgusted. I had to get out of debt. I had to make sure I was no longer a servant to a lender. I had to make sure I was no longer a financial slave. I had to do it. Some of you guys don't want it bad enough. You can tell. You go out and you spend all the money that you got. You don't want it bad enough. I want it to be free. How many of you guys want to be free, but you want it bad enough? You understand? I sit up here and I look across the land, I look across our community. People simply don't want it bad enough. They want comfortability. They want to be comfort and they're comfortable being broke. And that's a problem. They're comfortable being in debt. That's a problem. They're comfortable living in poverty. That's a problem. They're comfortable being ignorant. That's a problem. They're comfortable being uneducated. That's a problem. They're comfortable not accomplishing their goals. That's a problem. They're comfortable smoking the weed and drinking alcohol all day long. That's a problem. They're comfortable shaking their booty on stage. That's a problem. How bad do you want it? Whew. Lord Jesus. Help me, please. So he said I had to interview him. I put my request in writing and prepared a questionnaire with a cover letter outlining my intentions and immediately mailed the package to his New York headquarters. As I started my series of interviews, I received a letter postmarked New York. It was from Earl G. Graves, LTD, a parent company of Black Enterprise Magazine. It simply stated I was to be commended for such a noble effort. But and that was a big but. Mr. Graves, due to a constricting schedule, would unfortunately have to be excluded from the study. It was signed by his vice president for corporate affairs. I was devastated. I immediately phoned his office in New York from my Atlanta, Georgia home in an effort to convince either him or his staff of the much needed input. I was unsuccessful. Month after month, I repeated this same ritual. I called and sent off additional letters. They were always met with, he's too busy, or Mr. Graves is flattered by your request, but I seem to be getting many different versions of the word no. No matter how despondent I got, subconsciously something told me to keep going. Everybody put in the console, keep going. Something told me to keep going. Keep going. Stay with it, I would say to myself, week in and week out. Stay with it. I would tell myself subconsciously as I reviewed my notes from interviews with everyone on my initial list except Earl Grey. Stay with it, I thought, as I went through my daily routine as a sales representative for a major pharmaceutical firm. Stay with it, as I coached back deadlines from would-be publishers. Just stay with it. I had realized that 18 months had passed since my first encounter with his office. In all honesty, I had nearly relinquished any hope of ever meeting or interviewing the man. I unfortunately had to face the idea of writing a book on the state of Black business with only with only passing comments by an individual who had done so much in this arena. It wouldn't have been much of a study, but nevertheless, with my hopes frayed and sagging, I resigned myself to that fate. Experience has taught me that a man is never quite so near to success as when the hits. Experience has taught me that a man is never quite so near to success as when that which he calls failure has nearly overtaken him. Uh-oh. Repeat that again. He's learned that a man is never quite so near to success as when that which he calls failure has nearly overtaken him. Nearly. Almost. Almost gave up. I almost quit. I almost turned around. I almost went back. I almost gave up. Almost. There's a difference between doing and almost doing. There's a difference. For it is on occasions of this sort that he is forced to think. Everybody put in the console, think. It's in these occasions when failure has almost overtaken you and I that we are forced to think. To think. To think. If he thinks accurately and with persistence, he discovers that so-called failure is usually nothing more than a signal. Uh-oh, it's a sign to rearm himself, to rearm yourself, to gather up again, to restart, to rearm, to get ready. Uh-oh. Everybody put the console, get ready. It almost gave up is a sign to get ready. Usually nothing more than a signal to rearm himself with a new plan or purpose. Most real failures are due to limitations that men set up in their own minds. If they had the courage to go one step further, they might discover the key to the door of all they desire. I searched vainly for a solution to my dilemma. I searched. Guess what happens when you seek? First you think, and then you look. You seek. And what's what happens when you seek? When you seek, you find. He searched hard, high and low, but guess what he was searching for? He was searching for a solution. Everybody put in the console, search for the solution. He was searching for a solution. He was looking for an answer. He was See, here's the problem with most people. Most people, they spend all their time focusing on the problem. They don't spend enough time looking for the solution. See, he said, I know the problem. I know the issue. I know what I want, but now I got to search for a solution for me to get what I want. Uh-oh. The answer finally arrives. I had found the key. I suddenly realized in my despair that maybe, just maybe, there was a way for me to succeed in my mission. I remember the conversation I had years ago with a friend of my parents who had met Graves. Not having communicated with this individual for a number of years, I obtained his phone number from the operator assistant and spoke with him at his New Jersey home. In our conversation, he vaguely remembered our talk, but he informed me that he was invited to the silver wedding anniversary of Mr. and Mrs. Earl Graves to be held the coming weekend at their Connecticut home. This was my chance, and I planned to seize it. This was my opportunity, and I was not going to let my opportunity pass me by. I planned to seize it. In other words, attack! Attack! You got ready? Now you attack. Go for it. In my haste, I had briefly told him of my desire and asked him a huge favor. Could he possibly hand-deliver a letter addressed to Mr. Graves either before or after the ceremony for me? After a brief pause, he consented. Now I had to send my contact the letter via special delivery for Graves to receive it the coming Saturday. My hopes were resurrected. I believe again. Uh-oh, my strength is renewed. As I prepared this correspondence, I thought of those powerful words that were leading me to the successful completion of my objective. I reflected on the many times I had muttered to myself, stay with it. I tell you this experience simply because the world is full of those who try to get out of the doldrums and meeting with difficulty and repeated turn downs, retreated back to the crowd. Let me read that again. The world is full of those who tried to get out. You tried to get out of debt. You tried to get out of the ghetto. You tried to get out of the hood. You tried to get out of the job. You tried to get out. But every time you met with some difficulty, every time you were told no, and unfortunately you retreated back to the crowd. I'm reminded of a story of a brother named Lot who was given a way out of Sodom and Gomorrah. And he told his wife, don't look back. Keep going. Lot didn't look back. He kept going. What did the wife do? She looked back. Guess what happened? She got stuck. And Lot had to go on without his wife. Everybody put it down, so don't look back. Listen, if it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy to get out of debt, everybody would be out of debt. If it was easy to start their own business, everybody would start their own business. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Which means that if you have a desire to do whatever it is that might not be easy, it's probably worth it because everybody else ain't going to do it. It took a long time for me to realize this, that I'm just not going to be like everybody else. I'm just not going to be walking with the crowd. I'm going to have to take some lonely roads by myself. If I want to change the crowd, I cannot be among them. Don't look back. Stay with it. Stay the course. Keep going. Keep going to the gym. Keep working on your budget. Keep writing in your journal. Keep reading the good stuff. Keep going. I tell you this experience simply because the world is full of those who try to get out of the doldrums and meeting with difficulty and repeated turn downs, retreated back to the crowd. Nothing takes the place of persistence. I'd realized that staying with it paid off, just like it always does. To my good fortune, Earl Graves was given my letter as planned shortly after his anniversary ceremony. Within a few days, I received a phone call, ironically, from the same vice president who had delivered disappointing news 18 months prior. But this time, she was calling to arrange a mutually beneficial time for an interview. Her exact words were, Mr. Graves would be most delighted to talk with you. It was during my meeting with Graves that I uncovered the power of this principle that could only have been revealed in this fashion. As I waited in the foyer for his company's headquarters on New York's Fifth Avenue, I sensed success. Neatly displayed throughout the hallway were plaques and mementos and awards and framed clippings highlighting Graves' 20 years of achievement. My unashamed gazing was interrupted by his personal secretary. Mr. Graves will now see you, she said, as I was led to his office. Though I had interrupted his dictation to a staffer, Graves seemed unconcerned. He caught one glimpse of me, complete with briefcase and questionnaire, dropped his notes and extended his hand in expression of warmth and hospitality. Young man, you are to be commended for your persistence. If you're not in sales, you should be. Stay with it. Persistence is another form of faith. There's a place for anyone who will persevere. There's success lurking in everything we do. Everybody put it down, so everything. There's success in everything we do. There's another thing in the Bible. The good book says this: in all labor, there is profit. For those that don't read the good book, it says in all labor, there's profit. There's success in everything that we do if we persevere. Persist until I succeed. In every conflict, there are a few people who exhibit staying power. And this staying power nearly always represents the difference between prosperity and the settle for life cycle. Boldness of spirit and tenacity of purpose accompany those whose acts are in accord with greatness. A man or woman who refuses to quit, who keeps going on in the face of defeat, who does his best against superior forces, strikes within us a sympathetic chord. Opposition comes to the man who aspires. He does not turn away from the challenge nor assault or deny its appearance. Notice this. Opposition comes to those who aspire. Notice that there's not a fight for those who are doing nothing. And they're doing nothing, so there won't be any opposition for those who are doing absolutely nothing. Because why? Because they're ruining their life by themselves. But as soon as you and I decide to get out, that's when the fight begins. You ever notice that? When you was ruining your own life, there was no fight. It was easy. It was easy to hang out, on the streets, on the corner. It was easy. There was no fight. The fight came when we decided, well, I'm going to take control of my life. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to get out of debt. I'm going to build this business. I'm going to get off the corner. I'm going to stop selling drugs. Whatever it is, when you decide that you're going to take control of your life, there's going to be a fight because there is no progress without struggle. There is no progress without struggle. Opposition comes to the man who aspires. He does not turn away from the challenge, nor assault or deny its appearance. Though the ostrich hides its head from impending danger and the possum topples over and plays dead, the inspired individual neither turns away nor ceases in his efforts. Patiently, with a persistence that never tires, he examines his own mind to determine how his understanding is blocked from the true perception of the encountered obstacle. He will grow because he must. He will grow because he must. Back to the original question. How bad do you want it? See, I will get to where I'm going because I must get there. I will take as many people with me. Why? Because I must get there. It's not an option. I don't have a plan B. Plan A is good enough. Oh, let me say that again. There is no plan B for me. I don't know about for you. There's no plan B for me. Plan A is good enough. God has given me a plan that's good enough for it to work, for me to cross the Red Sea, for me to get to the other side, for me to get the land flowing with milk and honey. I just have to keep going. Y'all hear what I'm saying? I can't speak for you. I'm speaking for me. You might have 15 different plans. I'm trying to tell you, because you have planned your way out of doing plan A, you really don't have a plan at all. I'm trying to tell you, once you burn the ships behind you, and there's nowhere else for you to go but forward, when you understand how valuable that which God has given you, your vision, your dream, your goal, your objective, whatever you want to call it, that's good enough. How bad do you want it? He examines his own mind and determines how his understanding is blocked from the true perception of the encountered obstacle. He will grow because he must. And when his period of growth is over, he will find himself beyond his stumbling block, looking back along the path he has traveled. He will not even find his obstacle, for what he didn't know seems simple when understanding has been achieved. We are all aware that life at times is not easy, that the lessons it teaches are often learned through pain and tension. In addition, we realize that those who aspire for the brass ring will encounter obstacles. This is a tribute to courage and perseverance. But greater than courage is persistence. The willingness to stand and keep trying. Everybody put in the comments, so I will. I will stand and keep trying. I'm not going to give up today, and I ain't giving up tomorrow. I'm going to stand, and I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying to lead my people. I'm going to keep trying to teach them the things that we weren't taught in school. I'm going to keep trying. I know that finance and wealth building and getting out of debt, those are not popular subjects amongst the masses, amongst the crowd. But guess what? I'm going to keep trying. By persistence, the patient positioning of determined lives, barred doors eventually open and stone walls crumble. The drop of water gently wears away the granite. The tender flower emerges through the concrete and lifts its petals towards the sun. By persistence, the great pyramids of Egypt were built, offering civilization a springboard to even greater knowledge. By persistence, African missionaries were able to survive long, trying periods before ever obtaining a convert. By persistence, Ira Aldridge, Black America's first internationally known actor, swallowed his pride and endured many unobtrusive years in Europe and Russia, often performing without compensation before hitting his stride in the United States. By persistence, Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, educator, philosopher, and author of numerous books and scholarly articles, was able to pursue his college studies after graduating from high school, a grown man of 22. By persistence. Wow, I didn't know that. He didn't graduate till he was 22. By persistence, Charlene Hunter Galt achieved her dominant purpose of obtaining a degree in journalism. This well-known news reporter of the McNeil-Lehrer News Hour risked life and limb in 1961 by enrolling as the first Black female at the University of Georgia. Her pioneering determination and persistence was rewarded in 1986, the 25th year after her arrival on the campus, when her alma mater bestowed her with television's highest honor, the Georgia Foster Peabody Publishing Award. By persistence, Beverly Johnson, the strikingly attractive New York model, challenged the fashion industry, which ignored the natural beauty of Black women. You're not qualified to model, agencies and designers rebuffed. But after scanning countless fashion magazines and pounding against many doors, Johnson declared, if these girls can do it, so can I. Over the years, her face has lured advertisers and consumers alike, while her good looks have graced the covers of the most widely read newspapers and magazines. What kept Beverly Johnson going through the early years of disappointment? A large dose of persistence. It was through persistence that Louis Armstrong cracked open the first door to his future, a future that stood far from the poverty and ignorance that he knew all too well. As a stubborn and hot-tempered boy, he was sentenced to 2 years in a reform school for assault, determined to salvage his life. Everybody put it down, so determined. Determined to salvage his life, he was spinning dangerously out of control. He taught himself, note by tedious note, to play the trumpet. He taught himself. For the next 50 years, Louis Armstrong would teach others the world over the power of love and music, fashioning the title Goodwill Ambassador. And it was by persistence that Shelton J. Lee, better known as Spike Lee, made bold statements about controversial, unpopular topics that major filmmakers were reluctant to bring to the big screen. In the rocky world of music production, Lee persevered and patiently waited for his opportunity to come by producing entertaining and provocative movies on shoestring budgets. As a young Black producer with a succession of box office hits, Lee is on his way to becoming one of the giants of the film industry. Persistence, he says, is one of the keys to the kingdom. These are just a few in the growing ranks of Black achievers who have succeeded by application of this vital principle. Now, Will you persist in the face of your most formidable obstacle? If you find you're weak in this critical area, you may want to reread the lessons on desire and faith before applying the instructions below. And I love that challenge question that he shared with us today. Now, will you persist in the face of your most formidable obstacle? This is the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. You put it in a book, we absolutely will find it. Reading Rainbow 2.0 with a purpose. That purpose is to develop our people to be able to take control of their mind so they'll take control of their life. To know that there's nothing beyond our capabilities. It's only our only limits is what we think. As a man thinketh, as a woman thinketh, so is he, so is she. And as you continue to think, so shall you remain. As a man thinketh, so is he. As he continues to think, so shall he remain. Join the Black Billionaires Club today. Why? Because you don't have to go at it alone. If you could do it by yourself, it would already be done. Matter of fact, tonight we meet at 8 o'clock. That's our private session. We're going to do a group coaching for one of our members to help a sister out. If you're tired of going at it alone, the book is good, but you need some support. You realize that it's time for you to walk away from the crowd of unbelief, the crowd of drifting, the crowd of no direction, the crowd of whatever, broke, busted, disgusted. And you're looking for a group of like-minded people who can help you to ascend to your greatness. Join the Black Billionaires Club today. Simply go to theblackbillionairesclub.com, theblackbillionairesclub.com, and make a choice to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. In the comments below, I'd like for you to share with us what you took away from today. At the end of the day, guys, we come on here for a reason, to make a difference. We want to know, was this worth your time and why? We understand it's not very popular to see Black people read. We're going to change that. Guess what Martin Luther King did? He was a man who read. Malcolm X, yeah, he's a reader too. And guess who they are? They are great. What makes the great great? Good question. They were learned men who read often every day. I say we need to learn from them. I say we need to do what they did. I say that's a good route for us to go. We're sitting here saying we honor this man. We remember his birthday. We're going to get a day off, a national holiday. And this is what this man did to get to where he was, and what he did, and the changes he made, and the greatness that this man was. I'm trying to tell you that you too are great. You just got to pick up great habits. Let me say that again for the people in the back. You too are great. You just need to develop some great habits. Today's episode is sponsored by ERGJ Black Bazaar. You can go to www.ergjblackbazaar.com. You can pick up the Black History activity books, only $10 for you to expose your children to learn about some of our greats and what made them great. And they can do it in a fun way by coloring, drawing, connecting the dots, and reading about some of our greats, our Black history greats. It's only $10 to pick up. You can make an investment into the next generation by doing so. Simply go to www.ergjblackbazaar.com. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises and ERGJ Black Bazaar. and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club, a study of Black wealth, a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just believe that if you and I want to be wealthy, we should study wealthy people. Don't listen to poor dad. Listen to rich dad. Mike Allen says, I'm great and I'm developing great habits. Absolutely. You're great. You're developing great habits. Well, guys, that's our show for today. I want to say thank you so much for your support. Make sure you check out our podcast. Support us in any way that you can. When you like, when you share, when you follow, when you subscribe, that is support. And we can leverage that support to get other people to pay for your membership. Just think about that for a second. Think about what I just said. Your like, your share, your follow, your subscribe, that is support. And we're able to leverage that support to get other people to pay for your membership so that you can get to the greatness that you want to be. I want you to remember this, that it takes a village and it starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, people. But guess what? That's enough. I pray to God He preserve each and every one of you, that you have a fantastic day today. And it gives us all another opportunity to meet tomorrow right here at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time across all these wonderful platforms that allows us to connect. Until then, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
It's the New Black Wall Street Book Club with your host, Evan Jefferson. It's time for us to go. Yeah. Now, you ain't got to leave the computer, but we encourage you to get out there and learn and apply all the things you learn at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Yeah. New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street.